Hello and welcome to our Kindness Resource Fair. My name is Sarah Basemore. I am the School Counseling Specialist at the Virginia Department of Education, and I am thrilled to be joined today by Sarah Ritchie. Sarah is an elementary school counselor at King George Elementary School in King George County, right here in Virginia. And kindness is something that she has incorporated into her comprehensive school counseling program in many ways, but specifically today, she's going to talk to us about the Go Be Kind Kindness Krew initiative. So take it away, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. So I wanted to come on today and talk about our Go Be Kind movement, which created the Kindness Krew here at King George Elementary. So it all started with seeing that our staff and our students needed a little bit more kindness in their days. So not just on a every so often level, but on the daily. So I ended up writing a letter to my celebrity kindness mentor. His name is Leon Logothetis. He is the author of the Kindness Diaries. Some of you may have read his books. He has numerous books, but also his Kindness Diaries series on Netflix and on Amazon Prime. And he travels on the kindness of strangers. So it doesn't cost him anything. There's no money exchanged, just traveling across the United States and the world in the second series on kindness. So writing to him, I told him all about my dreams of having the kindness club and things that I could do to help within my school. So he happened to be coming to Fredericksburg, Virginia for a conference and asked if he could come visit the school. I said, yeah, please. So he came last March and he did a kindness assembly for all of my students and my staff. Now, prior to the kindness assembly, I had already in my mind that we were going to do our kindness club, but I wasn't sure how to select the students. I could have them sign up, but I really wanted it to be super special. So I had the staff do nominations. So they were nominated from grades kindergarten to sixth grade. So there wasn't anybody left out. And I had 3 kids from each grade level selected. So that made our leaders and our kindness ambassadors. So those kids were already selected prior to this assembly. So when Leon came, he offered to do our first official Kindness Krew meeting. So I thought that was amazing. So he sat with the kids and we came up with a structure that would be the best for our school. It might not be the best for everyone's school, but we were able to piece it together, talk to the kids and talk to the staff and get a feel with what was missing here at King George. So along with creating like the culture of kindness in our building, it stemmed also to creating it at home too. So the kids are learning what kindness is, how to be kind, different ways that you might not think that, oh, I'm actually doing something kind and I'm not thinking about it at school, but at home. What can I do for my family? What can I do for service members, first responders, my neighbor, my friends? So thinking outside of just the school bubble too. So when he came to the school, we started using his book, which is more of a journal, and it's called Go Be Kind. It's 28 and a half adventures guaranteed to make you happier. And this book is an easy read for our elementary school kiddos. I'm going to show you the inside because the inside is really cool. He writes it in a perspective that the kids can follow along. Even the handwriting is easy to read. The kids use their crayons, pencils to actually fill in. Like this is a blank little writing prompt. So there's areas where they fill in their responses and then they can keep them. So we've been doing a lot of chapter by chapter, or should I say adventure by adventure. And one of the ones that we're doing recently has been about self-care and being kind to yourself. Since we are still virtual at this point, but this one talks about how to use your words. not to others, but to yourself. So this one has them write about how awesome they are and the things that they do for others that make them awesome. And then another chapter, like just right after that one, it says, what stops you from being kind? So that chapter really made you think, like, maybe some people are a little bit afraid to do things for other people, and why would that be? So there's a checklist in here that you can add to, but the kids can go through, and this can be anonymous. They don't have to share it if they don't want to. But like, for instance, maybe sometimes I'm terrified, I'm gonna hurt if I share my heart with the world. Maybe you're angry. You could be shy or embarrassed, or sometimes you could feel lonely, and maybe that's why you don't want to, you feel a little bit uncomfortable about sharing things with other people or showing kindness to other people, because maybe you feel a little bit rejected. So it kind of gives that in an elementary language so the kids can understand. And I love that the kids can go back and review what they wrote, like, what is my biggest fear? Or, you know, there's a chapter in here of how has someone shown you kindness without giving you something physically. So you're thinking outside the box. Oh, well, maybe someone has listened to me and has taken the time to listen, or call me on the phone, or FaceTime me. Like, those are things that cost nothing but mean the world to those people. So it's teaching them in a different way than just everyone be kind to one another. It's showing them different routes and different ways to think about it. So when I was looking at like using this as a guide, because I do use this as a guide, since we are meeting virtually, I kind of assign a chapter and then we'll review it and go through it together. And then we'll work on whatever project that we're working on. So recently these have been community-based projects and then a school-wide project. So giving back to some of the kids here within the school that might not have sufficient school supplies or activity bags. A lot of the kids have put those together so that I could deliver those. And then recently for the holiday, I had help with a local church, and then those kids were also available to help make placemats and cards and things like that to go along with what the church did. So weaving it with a little bit of extra things that we're already doing, but they're still involved even though they're not physically in the building. So objectives, I just want to touch on those. So the main objectives of just using the Kindness Krew as a Kindness Club program, I'm using that to improve the school climate and raise staff morale. And then demonstrate empathy, because I did feel that there was a little bit of inconsistency throughout the grades when I began teaching and then into the older grades. So I wanted to make that a fluid understanding. And then creating the positive relationships, and not just among students and staff, but now we're pushing it into the community. So for instance, with the community, Sarah, if you don't mind just clicking on the newspaper article, I found that it was really important to include the community when we started this, and how big of a push this was going to be for our kids at King George Elementary. So I invited the Freelance Star, which is the local paper here, to come out and do an article and see what these kids are doing and talk to the kids and really get a feel of what they can start looking for within our school and how our school is a little different than others. So when you are looking for a kindness program or putting it into your curriculum, or maybe you have a really exciting project coming up, always reach out to your community members, to the newspaper, to the news. They love to hear all of that good, kind, just all the good vibes, all of that stuff. Just a little bit of that makes a big difference. And with that, I had external feedback from other states that I had no idea could reach this. I do use my Instagram and my social media a lot. So I think a lot of that might have stemmed from that, but I was being sent free resources for kindness programs and just letters saying, thank you for doing this. This needs to be done in other schools. How can we help? So definitely spread the word. Just spread the word. Sarah, can we go back to my original slide and see if I left anything out? On this, I'll use there we go. So if you're looking to start this, start with searching for your kindness ambassadors. I really recommend doing a student nomination and then using as many grade levels as you can, because you can get so much feedback from each age group.
Sarah, can I ask you a quick question about that? Just thinking logistically, what was the criteria that you asked staff to kind of think about when selecting students to be part of this?
Sure. So this was definitely not a grade-based project or club, which a lot of the clubs happen to be. So this was on character traits. So if a teacher saw that a student is loyal, honest, loves helping people, or that they could see that this is something that could bring them out of their shell a little bit, those were the kids that they put on their nomination form. So again, the character traits that we use throughout the year, we use those, and then not myself, I let other staff members read through them and select them so that it came back to me and I had those in my hand so that it wasn't, favorites chosen or anything like that. So those were, and that was the best way. And the handful of kids that we did get, I'm not sure that I would have picked those kids specifically, but they're the best ones for it.
It's nice when it works out that way, and you're able to. I'm sure your staff appreciates the opportunity to offer this to students, and it's got to be a confidence booster for so many kiddos that maybe aren't often tapped for things like honor roll, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So it's an important recognition in letting them know that these things matter too, character traits and being someone of integrity and kindness. So I love that you offer that that to your staff and give them that opportunity to do that and take that responsibility off of you. Because I will say that when I've been in positions as a school counselor where I am selecting students, that it has caused some issues in relationships because they feel like, why didn't you pick me? So I like that you're removing yourself from that so that there isn't that crossover at all. That's great. So yeah, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You were going through your timeline. So I think you were at step 2.
Yep. So step 2, you can go ahead and if you have the funds to pick up the copies of the Go Be Kind, I did put the link there. But I think you could also do this with just a few solid original copies and go through it as just your guide. And then my step 3 would be to have the students follow along in the chapters or assign them like I have been doing. And then have some of them on their own brainstorm projects, because you never know what kids are thinking unless you ask them. You can always assume, but they always have the best ideas. That it's amazing. And those club projects can differ between school to school, but we've been doing, our next one will be the Great Kindness Challenge, which is also at the end of this month. So this week, my club will be working on what we can do in a virtual setting. So that's going to be a little bit different, but we're looking forward to being fluid and flexible. Those are the words of the school year. So
that's exciting. And it's so nice to have students at your disposal as a school counselor to be able to have conversations like this and to give them the opportunity to have voice and choice. And it makes your kindness crew that much more authentic. And I bet they do come up with some pretty fantastic ideas. And, they're really going to be able to speak to what's at the heart of the school, because they are the heart of the school, right? Exactly. So such an important point. I do want to click to the next slide, which has some pretty amazing pictures. And that just kind of gives you a feel for what this must be like at your school, and all the different ways that these students have made a difference in the community and the culture. And it certainly is a really exciting initiative that you have, and something I'm sure is making a major impact. So I'm so grateful that you've shared it with us. And as we wrap this up, is there anything that you weren't able to mention, that you really want school counselors who are considering this initiative to be aware of?
Just that I am so proud of my kids. They are the ones that put so much effort and hard work into this, more so than I originally thought. Um, they're just so proud. I just want everyone to know that let them take some of the lead, because
Mm,
it will make the biggest difference. Um, let them take the lead.
such an important point. And when we do that, we give them the opportunity to grow as leaders. And I think it, like you said, it actually ends up being a more authentic and more impactful program when it's student led. So, and you're just there to facilitate. Thank you again, Sarah. This is incredible. And I know that, I'm going to certainly check out some of the resources that you shared today.
Thank you, Sarah.